Good evening or good afternoon to all of you around the globe. I'm Shuvi Hoffman from the National Library of Israel, and with me here today are two of my colleagues, Liba Levine from NLI in Israel and Sarah Palmer from NLI USA. And if during the session you have any questions or comments and you put them in the chat, then Liba will be able to help you, and we'll be also putting all the links that I'm going to be talking about during the session in the chat box, and we have a Padlet for you, so don't worry about jotting down the links because you're going to get all this information in a very organized way. So I'm going to start by presenting a little bit about the library and about this project that we've been doing. The project is called, as you know, Curate and Create, and it's part of, I would say, a larger picture of educational work we've been doing at the National Library of Israel. So just to tell you a little bit about the National Library, I'm gonna, actually, before we start with the National Library, if you could write your name and where you're from in the chat box, that would be great. We didn't know how many people would be here at this point, and it's just nice to know who's in the room. So we're welcoming everyone, and if there are people who are joining now and I can't see you because I'm sharing my screen, feel free to share your name and where you're from. So the National Library of Israel was established 130 years ago. That means that it's a very old institute in Israel, even way before the establishment of the state and way before other events that happen in Jewish history. We don't only collect books, even though we're a library, but we have many treasures, and you'll see some of them today. Amongst other things, we have Hebrew manuscripts, we have Muslim manuscripts, we have personal archives of famous and less famous people who decide to donate their archives, some even when they're still during their own lifetime. We have recorded materials, and we're going to see a little glimpse of that today, a little taste of that. We have a huge collection of maps of Jerusalem and of the region, and of course, photographs, postcards, posters, which we're going to get, again, a glimpse of today. So the National Library of Israel is going through a very interesting and exciting process of renewal. Being 130 years old means that you really have to keep yourself up to date and stay relevant and renew the activity and the accessibility of this institution. So after many years of being situated inside Hebrew University in Jerusalem, over the past few years, there's been a process of renewal where it's going to culminate in this summer with a new campus, a new building, and you're getting a look of it in this slide right here. And the building is going to be very accessible to the public. We serve all populations in Israel, different communities, and of course, the Jewish people around the world, and also the academic community worldwide. Our roles are not only limited to preserving treasures of Jewish culture, Israeli culture, and like I said, we also have a collection of Islam and Middle East, but also making them accessible, making these treasures accessible to others. So the National Library of Israel is a place of research, but it's also a hub for connecting people like we're doing now and creating new knowledge, whether it's new knowledge in academic fields or in educational fields. So my role in the National Library of Israel is managing the global Jewish education, which means alongside the activity we have in Israel in Hebrew and in Arabic for teachers and students, we also cater again to the Jewish people worldwide. And that's my role, to make the treasures of the library accessible to you, educators. And we develop educational resources as well as offer professional development like this webinar we're having today. Our website, which I will share a link to in the Padlet, is made out of 4 main categories where you can find teaching resources ranging from digital games, lesson plans, videos, and other resources you can use in your classroom or in your educational setting. We also give you access to primary sources that are part of the library's treasures. But what we've done on our website is we've curated them especially for educators, so they're more accessible to you, and and we don't just send you to the main catalog and have you look for them on your own. We have a section of what we call experience, which is themed kits, be it a bar bat mitzvah program or other activities. And of course, we have a section called Meet, which is dedicated to our webinars, and you can find their recorded webinars and upcoming events that we're going to be having. So in general, we propose meaningful learning with primary sources. And what does that mean? It means that we really truly believe in the National Library of Israel that young learners should get an authentic glimpse into the past. They are able to ask questions and research thanks to primary sources, and they can also connect and express their own creativity in a very special way, which we'll see in a moment. When we think about the skills that we're trying to emphasize and to promote, we're thinking of the skills of the future, which of course include analytic skills and learning skills, but they also include emotional intelligence and creativity and collaboration, which are very, very important skills. And you'll see that in the activities that we've suggested and built, we really emphasize all of these skills. So the Curate and Create program, it's basically a poster competition. It means that kids get the opportunity to be creative and design a Yom Ha'atzmaut poster for the 75th Independence Day of Israel. Traditionally in Israel, especially in the first few years, there was always a call for designers and artists to suggest how would they present Israel in a poster and to celebrate its independence. Over the past few years, that doesn't happen anymore. And as you know, we've all gone very digital, but we really want to kind of bring this back to life and have the kids express their reflections on Israel through their creative products of a poster. So I'm going to give you a little overview here in the presentation, and then I'll stop sharing my screen and we'll look at the website itself. Everything you're looking at is digital and free and totally accessible to you and your students. So I'm going to walk you through it. And that's the goal of this session, is just to give you a sense of what it is that we're offering, and everything is totally accessible to you ongoing. And we're also here to help you and guide you and answer questions as you go along. So what we envisioned in this project is that we don't only offer the students an opportunity to compete and submit a beautiful poster that they created in a week or a month or whatever time that may take them, but rather we are giving you educators plenty of resources to enrich this process of learning, where literally you can start teaching this tomorrow, where you can use the lesson plans that are about Israel and about our primary sources and about the treasures held in the National Library of Israel, to really create an ongoing learning process. So it's not only about the competition. And honestly, if in the end your students don't end up submitting anything to the competition, I think it would still be a worthwhile process for you to invest in. And you might decide to do an exhibit in your classroom or a school-wide exhibit and not have the kids submit the posters at all. Of course, you can also just submit the posters and not use any of the lesson plans. So it's really very modular, and different educators might decide to use this program in different ways. So what do the lesson plans include? Basically, we're demonstrating how to use primary sources, and we've organized the lesson plans by theme and skill, which you'll see in a moment. We always include creative and interactive activities in each lesson plan. So I want to just emphasize that creating the product of the poster is, I guess, the culmination of this process. But per each lesson plan, there are other suggestions for other creative activities that are on a smaller scale or that connect specifically to a certain theme or skill that we've suggested in the lesson plans. Hopefully, this program will kind of open your minds to this, to these methods, and you'll decide to teach more with primary sources and use more of our resources, because again, this is a program that just can demonstrate how engaging and relevant learning with primary sources can be. So these are the 6 lesson plans we've created for this program. And as you can see, each one of the lessons focuses on a specific theme or topic that has to do with Israel, but also demonstrates certain skills. And I'm gonna we'll model some of these activities during this session so that you get a taste, But again, like I said, all of this is accessible to you and available to you to do with your students. So for instance, in the second lesson plan that we made about the land of milk and honey, we'll focus on food and farming. We'll have some posters that are from Tnuva and other food companies in Israel. We'll expose the students to, the agricultural aspect of Israel, certain foods that are maybe typical of Israeli culture or Israeli agriculture. And the skill that we want to practice is actually comparison. So we'll have the kids, the students look at different food ads from different time periods, or compare a food ad from the 50s promoting a certain product like a banana grown in Israel to similar ads from their environment and from today, and kind of compare and contrast. So we're going to see a few examples of some of these activities and some of these skills during this session, but you're also welcome to explore each and every lesson plan to see what we suggest for each and every theme and skill. So in general, our approach to learning with primary sources is made up of 4 main stages. So we want the students to be able to observe, to see the primary source, the original item from that historical time, without really learning getting any introduction, or just really seeing their first impression, having some kind of even emotional connection to this. Like what draws me to this item? What do I notice about it? What makes me want to ask more questions about this, just as a first impression? And then later, and at the second stage, we'll start inquiring and organizing the data around this resource. And we'll try to also contextualize it and see what we can learn about it when we really understand its background. One of the most important stages for us in learning is connecting. Why is this important to me? How is it relevant to me? What does it make me feel? Now, again, our learning isn't limited to the personal connection, but it's by all means, it's a very important stage, because otherwise, as we all know as educators, if the students aren't engaged, they don't feel it has any connection to them, they're not going to learn anything, and they're also not going to remember it later. And finally, the stage of creating is to really give the kids an opportunity to express themselves. That, I think, also helps them crystallize what they've learned, because they need to kind of transform or translate it into something tangible that they can show others. But also it gives them the opportunity to add their own interpretation and their own personal layer to what they're learning. So what have we prepared for you in the Curate and Create? We've basically curated a small collection of 75 primary sources for the 75th year of Israel. And we've made them accessible. We're going to look at it in the website itself in a moment. But this is just a glimpse into what the page looks like on the website, where when you click on each and every one of these items, you can see a full description of where this item was created or when, and a little bit more of a background. For instance, if it's an El Al poster, you'll get a short explanation about what El Al is. And the idea is, as you can already see from this glance, we've chosen, first of all, a diverse collection of items that range from food advertisements to El Al and other posters. But what we always kept in mind was that we want these items to be engaging and compelling. And we realized that for the most part, the kids who are going to be exposed to this program and using it obviously don't necessarily know Hebrew, or definitely don't know how to read in Hebrew. So we've, for the most part, limited it to very visual items. And if there are some words in Hebrew, we've translated them in the description. The idea is that kids get a sense of how they can design their own poster and send their message in a visual way. So they're getting inspired by these 75 primary sources that do just that. They take an idea, they take a message, and they convey it in a visual way. So the 75 primary sources are really a source of inspiration for the kids, and you can also use them in different activities, and we've incorporated various sources in the different lesson plans. This is what the poster competition journey looks like for the students. After a discussion in the classroom about Israel and what Israel means to them, or what they think about Israel in the Jewish world today, they start the process of, like I said, curating. They look at these 75 primary sources, they get some ideas, they think of something that resonates with them, and then they start creating their poster and submit it. When we look at the website, you'll see that for each and every stage, we have aids that can help the students and you to facilitate this process. So we're going to look at the website in a moment. I just want to say that this whole presentation is on a Padlet that we're going to share with you as well. So I'm going to stop sharing for one moment. And if there are any comments or questions already at this point, you're welcome to share. And then we're going to look at the website together. Okay, so let's take a look at the website. And then what we're going to do is we're going to, like I said, model some of the activities that we have in the lesson plans. So I'm sharing my screen again, and you'll see here, this is the website. This is our website of Curate and Create. It sits inside our website for educators. And again, there's also a link to the general website in the Padlet we're going to share with you. And let's just take a little look at what the different components of this program are. So you're looking at the landing page of Curate and Create. And like I said, the main stages of this process are just that. The kids will explore the 75 sources, they'll get inspired, and then they'll design a poster. But how exactly will it work? We suggest this timeline. We're getting started now in December and in January. We know that some schools are on winter break now. We suggest starting by reflecting and learning about Israel in a very general way, having an opening discussion on what Israel means to me, what Israel's role is today in the Jewish world, and questions of the sort. Then through January through March, you can use the 6 lesson plans that I've just presented to create a learning process that, whether it's a weekly class that you have, or maybe you can dedicate a monthly class or a monthly unit of 2 hours to each theme or topic. And the kids are, through the lesson plans, the students will be exposed to many different primary sources. And I think you'll also see that once they get the hang of it, of using these primary sources and connecting to them, it will really enhance the learning. And then towards April 26th, which is Yom Ha'atzmaut, we start the process of actually designing the posters themselves. And again, the students submit the posters on Yom Ha'atzmaut. We'll take about a month or so to judge them, and then we will announce the winners towards the end of the school year in June. So as you can see on our website, besides the landing page, and here is the link to today's webinar, but we'll continue renewing this section with other webinars or other opportunities that we have. Here is the page with all the lesson plans. And as you can see, we've also we've created an educator's guide to give you an overview of the program and a lot of the things I'm explaining now, but we've also translated it so far into Hebrew and into German. So it's all downloadable, all of the lesson plans and the educator's guide. And there's also going to be a French version of this as well. So just as an example, the lesson plan about the land of milk and honey that I mentioned before takes you to this page, which is the same format we have for our other lesson plans on our website. And as you can see, there's a little bit of an introduction to what we'll be doing in this unit. And each one of our lesson plans has these 3 elements: discussion questions, a group activity, and a creative activity. So like I said before, the creative activity at the end of the process of creating a poster is one huge big project, and each student will do their own, or the class will submit one group poster. But for each lesson plan, we've also suggested usually multiple ideas for what you can do based on the lesson plan we have here. Based on the primary sources in this lesson plan, different things that you can do with these sources and get creative with the students. So here, these are the examples of ads from Israel, advertising food or other aspects of food and farming in Israel. So that's just one example of a lesson plan. Let's look at the page with the primary sources. We saw a glimpse of it before. Here, you can find all the 75. So you can also play this little game and kind of just get a choice of 5 different ones. But you can also filter and see specific kinds of items. We've filtered it by type. So just as an example, let's look at this El Al advertisement, which is a poster. As I said before, each one of these items will have a little explanation. We've added here a button for copying this link. Because our materials are open and free, we don't need a username. Your students don't need one either, but just to make it easier for them to remember which items they liked most, they can copy the link and save it for their own records in a different place where they're working on their poster. Then this page, as you can see, is designated for the students themselves, and we suggest you actually just share this direct link with them. Of course, they can see all the other tabs as well, but this is their designated page. So first of all, they can look at all the 75 primary sources. You can also, by the way, download them as a PDF, and what you'll get is 75 pages with very, very good quality images, with just the title of the item and the copyrights on that page. And you'll see that, for instance, in the first lesson plan, the introduction, we suggest, for instance, printing them out, making a little exhibition in your classroom, and having the kids do a gallery walk and kind of walk through the 75 and choose one that they like the most and explain why. So like we said, this is the journey that the kids are on for this competition. They first reflect on Israel, then they go on to curate their inspiration, and here they go on to create their own poster. So I want to just dwell on this little stage for a moment, because that's before they submit. We have created a presentation on how to design a poster, because we figured not all of you are art teachers, and some of you might decide to collaborate with the art teacher on this, and we definitely encourage that. And just to make it easier on you and on your students, we've created this Canva presentation that you can see right here. And of course, it's available to you, and I also put it on the Padlet. Basically, it's just an easy way for you to present this in the classroom and think together with the kids about how they're going to design their posters. This is when we're nearing the stage of actually designing them and then maybe submitting them to you as first drafts, and then, you know, perfecting them before they decide to submit them. So again, the first step is thinking about the topic at hand. And then we have suggested some of the things they should consider when they're actually designing their poster. And we go on to demonstrate them through our posters as well, meaning they should be mindful of shape and form. They should choose colors in a certain way. What colors do they associate with Israel? What colors would serve their message the best? What do they want to emphasize in their poster? Now, all of these examples you're looking at are from within the collection of the 75 resources that we've curated for this competition. So the idea is that kids get a sense of how you can use visual text to convey a message, and how they should be choosing these different elements in the best way possible for their message. So this is, again, something that will help you, hopefully, as educators, and the kids to go on and create their own poster. So going back to our page over here, there's another PDF here with the rules of this competition and some disclaimers. And it also has a rubric on how we're going to be judging the posters and the different elements that we expect to see them. And here they submit the form, which you can also access from here. So when they're submitting their poster, again, it's just something that I think is worthwhile showing the students before they start the process. What they are going to need to write and explain in this submission is they're going to have to describe their poster and kind of explain, you know, the different parts of it and what they chose to incorporate. They're going to explain how it is a response to one of the questions we had in the reflection stage, and what message they would like to convey. Of course, we also want to hear which primary source or sources from the National Library have inspired them. And then all they need to do is upload an image and submit. We thought really hard about what formats we're going to be accepting for the posters. So I'll tell you, I think that kids can either do it on Canva or a different application, or they can make a physical poster and take a good quality photo of it. Honestly, we're really hoping that more kids don't use digital apps and actually, you know, use the scissors and the glue and create something of their own. And take a good quality photo of it and send it to us. That's 100%. They don't have to send the original to us. And again, I think that if they would hang the original in the school or in the class, that would also be really great and amazing. So that's the gist of it. This is the website. And I'm gonna show you one more little activity that we have in one of the lesson plans, just to give you, again, a sense of some of the aids that we've created to make this program as accessible and easy to use as possible. So in one of the lesson plans, the emphasis is how one little detail can be understood as, isolated as an isolated detail, but also as part of a bigger picture. And that's one of the skills we want our students to practice, to kind of understand what lays behind a certain detail. So for instance, this, at a first glance, of course, they might not understand all the Hebrew, but I think will recognize that this is part of a map. They'll definitely recognize that the words are written in Hebrew. Some might even be able to read some of them. But where is this map taken from? What year is it from? So then they'll go on to discover that this is actually part of a map that's part of a Haggadah that was designed and written in Amsterdam in 1712. So it's really interesting to see. You can even see the creases of the paper. This was folded up in a Haggadah. What is a map of Israel doing in a Haggadah? Well, that's a discussion in and of itself. But this is just to give you a glimpse of how a little detail is really part of a bigger picture. This is also part of a map. Here we can also ask them, what do you recognize here? Is there a word or two words that you can recognize? Where are we? And the fact that it's in color, does that maybe indicate the time period it was created in? So indeed, this is a much later map, and it's a map of Israel and the region. And you can see that people, again, this is another small conversation you can have, how people invested their time in the visual aesthetics of a map, and incorporated some other images as well to make it engaging. This is also a picture from a map. I'm sure that the students will realize this one is not written in Hebrew. And indeed, this was drawn in Holland by a non-Jewish cartographer in 1584. And again, our assumption is that a lot of the people who drew maps of Jerusalem actually weren't there. So when they imagined it, it was maybe a little different and less realistic. Now we go on to something else. We still see we're in the world of maps, but this one looks a little different. It looks a little maybe more modern. And this is the first tourist map of Jerusalem from the 1930s. This, again, is a detail from within a larger item. The kids, again, can try to guess, what is this from? What do I recognize? It's really about having fun and also trying to enhance the skills of paying attention to detail. And this is part of a larger poster that is advertising produce from farms in Israel. This item, again, can be a beautiful image in and of itself, but it's part of a larger poster, which is for the 34th Independence Day of Israel. And last but not least, again, we can make out some of the details here. This says El Al, but it doesn't look like a plane. Well, it's part of a board game that was also a poster and advertisement for El Al. So this is just these are just a few examples of items that we've taken, and we've just chosen one little detail. You can make this kind of presentation yourself. We made one for you just so that you can use it, and feel free, of course, that's what it's for. But you can also create one of your own just to demonstrate this to the students. I'm gonna stop sharing now and take another pause again for maybe some questions. I see there were things written in the chat box, but I don't know if those are comments or questions, or because we have one more game to play before the session ends. So does anyone have any comments or questions up till now? Yahel, yeah.
Yes. I wanted to ask, can the student respond in Hebrew?
Okay, that's a very good question. We had much deliberation about this, and we made a decision that the submission form is in English. And we're encouraging kids to answer the submission form in English, even if that's not their first language. Having said that, and you can be in touch with me if needed, if there are other languages that kids, and I see Esther here from Hungary as well, if there are other languages that kids want to answer the submission form in, be in touch with us, and we'll let you know if we have someone on our end who can actually read what the kids would write. And I know that Google Translate isn't ideal, but it's not ideal on our end either. So again, we really hope that most of the kids will be able to answer in English. It's short answers. They don't have to write a very long essay, but as long as it's in a language that we can understand and then judge their poster accordingly, then we'll probably be able to manage. I just want to put this also on the table. We haven't opened this competition for Israeli kids. It's really tailored for kids living outside of Israel. So it's okay for Israeli kids to do it, but that's part of the reason that we haven't created, and we're not going to create this website in Hebrew, because the whole idea is that it's really targeted and catering the kids who don't live in Israel. Again, as an English teacher, this will be good practice for them to do it in English, but we can probably manage if some of the kids need to do it in Hebrew. So that's fine. And it'll actually be very interesting to see what other countries kids will submit from. So that's great.
Right. I have another question, and it's not related to this program. It's about the bar bat mitzvah.
Okay, so that we'll have to do it another time, because we're also recording this session for people who couldn't make it, but you know where to find me. So I'm sure we'll be able to talk. Okay, so Irit, you also have a question?
Yeah. Are you going to do some exhibition from all what has been sent to you, or will we be able to see? I mean, even our kids will not win, I don't know. I do want to show them that you receive it, and that.
Yeah. So that's a very good question. As we start receiving the submissions, we're gonna set up some kind of platform to put it on. That's part of what's written also in the rules and regulations file, where it is going to be shareable, meaning whoever submits something to us, even if they don't win, we will be able to post it and put it on our website. And yes, that's one of our plans, is to also consider how to showcase all the products, or some of the products, even the ones that didn't actually win in the end. Because in the end, we're really going to have 2 individual winners and 2 group winners, meaning we have a prize of $750 for each one of those. They're basically going to be 4 prizes distributed. So one is for an individual entry of a student who's in elementary school until 6th grade, and then another individual entry for middle school and high school kids. So there will be 2 kids who will win $750 towards a ticket to Israel. And then we're also allowing group entries. So if a class or a group of students wants to submit a poster together and they worked on it together, they'll get $750 if they win, but also according to the 2 age groups. But that money wouldn't go, of course, to a flight, but would go to a school-wide activity or a class activity, or again, we would be in touch with the school to see what kind of thing they would want to do in honor of Israel for the entire school or for the entire grade or something of the sort. So to your question, Irit, we're definitely considering how we can present and showcase also the kids who don't actually win. And that'll be down the line. In general, I would say that's why it's so important for us to keep you all updated, because this is a process. We're only in December, and Yom Ha'atzmaut is towards the end of April. So we expect that during these months, we'll also give you updates on, hopefully, maybe we'll also be able to create some gatherings or some meetings between different schools doing this project or other things. And again, it's all, I would say that we're eager to see your cooperation and your participation. And then I'm sure we'll see a lot of interesting and exciting things from the ground. So.
Oh, and one more question. All the materials are translated to German, or?
Yes, all of the lesson plans and the entire educator's guide, but the website with all of the pieces that are on the website are in English. But again, it's the submission form. We purposely left only in English because kids are going to have to submit it in one place.
If I wanted to
Yes.
So perfect. Thank you very much.
Yes, that's exactly why we translated it also into Hebrew, because if Hebrew teachers want to use it and they feel more comfortable reading about it in Hebrew, but even if they apply it in English and their students apply in English. So I want to just show you in the next couple of minutes another little activity that we've put in one of the lesson plans, just so that you can, again, get a glimpse of the kind of things that we have in the lesson plans, even before you look at them at length, and you. So I'm just giving you a taste, or I should say a sound. This is part of one of the lesson plans that is called Traditions That Ring a Bell. I mentioned this before. We have an amazing and extensive sound archive that includes recordings from different Jewish communities from all around the world, and many, many other things. Of course, Jewish music and Israeli music and many other things. What we've put together here is a guessing game where the kids have to listen to these recordings, and it comes together with, I'm showing this to you on another tab. It comes with these cards so that they don't have to guess from scratch. And there are different ceremonies here from different Jewish communities or different countries of origin. It could be a brit, it could be a bar mitzvah, it could be a wedding, and it could also be other situations, like, for instance, kids learning the Aleph Bet. And what the kids need to do is match the recording, the track, to the ceremony. So I'm going to give you a little taste.
מותניכם חגורים, נעליכם ורגליכם, ומקלכם בידכם, ואכלתם אותו וחיפשתו. היום, היום, אתם יודעים, היום, היום, אתם יודעים,
ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
So that was just a little taste, or like I said, a little sound. But the idea is, again, that we've chosen tracks, we've chosen specific parts of recordings that might be more familiar, be it the brachat for an Aliyah Torah in a bar mitzvah, or other things you can maybe hear and make out. The idea is that in a process of elimination, there are 8 tracks, and the kids can guess what matches what ceremony and from what community it originates. And again, part of what we're trying to convey here is we're celebrating the diversity of Jewish communities and their traditions. And one of the roles of the National Library, like we said, is preserving those traditions. So we hold these treasures, and we want kids today to listen to them. And one of the activities that we suggest at the end of that lesson plan, for instance, is that the students record themselves singing or chanting something that they know from their family tradition, and it could be connected to a holiday or just to their own family or own community. And then maybe research a little bit, like, where's that from? Who taught you that tune? When do you sing it, etc. So that was, again, just a little example of one of the activities that we have in one of the lesson plans, just to also give you an appreciation of the I guess the diverse activities that we have in the lesson plans. It's not only a poster competition, but really there are so many different ways to access these treasures and so many different ways to engage with them. So I'm going to just show you as we come to the end, I'm going to show you this Padlet that we've created for you. It has everything you need in it. It has the flyer, and it has your direct link to Curate and Create, and the presentation I used today, my email. We actually have here, if you want, access to Google Drive folder where you have more materials that you can share with your colleagues, with your friends, with other people in the school that might be interested and want to learn more about this program. And our Facebook page. Here is also a direct link to our general website where, again, you can access Curate and Create from there as well. And here are some of the things that we looked at today, just so that you have them here, but they also exist within the lesson plans in the website. And it's all there, just waiting for you to use and enjoy. So we're really, really excited, and we really want to hear from you. If you're using it, how it's going, what's going well, what are the kids most responding to, where are the challenges? We're really, I speak on behalf of the whole NLI team, and we really want to hear from you. So good luck.